You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast with your dating coach, Trip, from tripadvice.com. Do you struggle with getting girls to like you? Well, you're going to learn step-by-step how to talk to girls to create deep connections and meet the woman of your dreams. Here's your host, me, Trip. Hello and welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. This is your host, Trip Kramer from tripadvice.com. And I want to welcome you back to another episode here. I wonder where you're listening to this, because it's funny. I record these all on my own. I really do. I don't have a studio. I do this at home or wherever I am. Right now I'm traveling, so I'm doing it at my Airbnb. And I get to sit here and talk all to myself, but I know that there are thousands of you listening. I always wonder where you're listening from. Are you listening in the car? Are you listening in your iTunes app and podcasts on your iPhone? Are you listening to it on Stitcher somewhere? Are you in the library? Are you procrastinating? Should be doing something else besides this? No, of course not. This is the most important information in the world. I'm just kidding. But it is important. Today we got a great episode, and I'm very excited about it. A couple updates here. If you haven't checked out my Hooked Online training that's going on, and forgive me if you're listening to this years down the line, but if you haven't checked it out and you're listening to this in real time, check it out, tripadvice.com/mistakes-online. That will give you the first video in the Hooked series, or you can go on YouTube and check out the Hooked series. Those videos will be up. I'm going to keep them up forever. I'm not going to take them down, so you can check those out. And it's all about how to meet and attract girls online. So hopefully you're checking that out. That's an announcement. Another announcement, just on a personal line, I kind of want to share with you. Started getting really into habits lately, building habits. And these habits are kind of around hygiene, meaning like, making sure like I'm flossing every night. Also around things like making sure I get a little bit of a workout in every day, going for walks every day, doing push-ups every day. Another thing I'm trying to do is make sure I put up an Instagram photo every day, because I know that there's a lot of you guys who follow me on Instagram. If you don't, by the way, check it out, instagram.com/tripadvice with 2 P's, or just go to the app, type in TripAdvice, follow me. I'd love to have you there on Instagram. You can chat with me there, comment on a photo, we can talk. And so I'm trying to do a picture every day there and just create some habits. And I'm getting into this new morning routine, which I just read about. It's backed by science, actually. So all the things in this routine in the morning that you do are supposed to make you happier and supposed to make you just feel good and give you energy throughout the day. So I just want to share with you really quickly, even though this has nothing to do technically with today's episode, but I wanted to tell you about it because, I don't know, I think morning routines are really cool. I might do a video on it soon. You can actually see me do the morning routine, but some of the things are, you wake up in the morning, and this might be stuff you heard of. This is not like mind-blowing new stuff, but if you're new to learning about morning routines, it's like a whole thing that people are really into. If you're new to learning it, then this will be new to you, but it's very interesting. So the thing is, you wake up and you, whatever you got to do. I wake up, I don't do this right away. I kind of like check my phone, chill for a little bit. Then I get a journal out and I write 3 things I'm grateful for, which is supposed to make you feel, just think about more positivity. And then another thing you do after you write 3 things you're grateful for. By the way, they can be simple. Like simple as like, I'm grateful that I have legs. I'm grateful that I get to live in whatever city or state or country. Anything you've gratitude. I'm grateful for the fact that I get to, listen to podcasts every day. Anything simple like that. Then after that, you write a story of something that happened within 24 hours. And you write a story of something positive that happened that you liked, even if it's something really small. But you write about it in great detail for 3 minutes. All this is supposed to train your brain to think positively and optimistically, because our brains kind of go towards the negative side. So that's the first part. The next part is getting in 15 minutes of exercise. So what I've been doing is either doing a fast walk or a jog around this area that I'm in right now. I'm staying in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam at the moment. So you do that, and then you come back and you do 2 to 3 minutes of meditation, just breathing and closing your eyes and focusing on your breath, 2 to 3 minutes. I like to do 2 to 3 minutes, but every day I'm trying to add another minute on top of it until I get to 10 minutes, and then do 10 minutes every day. And then after that is texting or emailing someone, anybody, someone new, and you do it every day, someone new, to just connect with them and just tell them you appreciate, their friendship, or you're checking in, you're saying hello. And I really love that one. That's a good one, And if you don't have a lot of people in your life Well, good thing you're listening to this podcast, because this podcast is all about helping you talk to people, talk to girls, uncover and conquer your shyness and get you in front of more people. So you do have someone to text every day, but I'm sure you have at least somebody, maybe an aunt, an uncle, a family member, brother, sister, whoever. So yeah, been doing that morning routine. It's been pretty cool. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is dedicated to my boys over at Tripp's Corner. That's right, Tripp's Corner. So, Tripp's Corner, I talked about this on the last podcast. If you don't know, is my private, secret, closed Facebook group only for people who have invested in one or more of my products. So, mainly my main program is Hooked. So, if you got hooked, then you probably know what I'm talking about. You're probably in there. If you got Fearless Formula, then you're probably in there. I'm just launching Hooked Online, so if you have that, you're in there. Yeah, and there's a few other programs I have, but those are some of my main ones. And so if you're in there right now, I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful for you because I love talking to you guys. I've been really involved in there lately, and guys have been asking some great questions. And a lot of things come up, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. So whether you're in Tripp's Corner or not, I wanted to share something with you today about a common kind of question or problem I see come up. And I end up giving a very common answer. And so the problem that ends up coming up is something around the idea of a guy not thinking in two ways, okay? Those two ways are thinking about your self-esteem and thinking about abundance. So there was a question in here that was talking about the fact that the guy was really scared to go up and talk to a girl, right? He was I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to call anyone out, and I do keep it anonymous. But this person was just talking about the fact that he has a very hard time being able to go up to a girl and make it feel comfortable for him. So he kind of freaks out. And I hear this kind of problem, it's said in a different way many times in Tripp's Corner. And if this is you or you feel this way, then keep listening because I'm about to help you right now. I have basically two things which I already told you about, abundance and self-esteem. Those two things will help dramatically with this. And really, this will help all over in terms of you being able to, conquer this kind of shyness or this problem with being able to focus on conversation with girls and getting really freaked out. So basically, the problem that guys have is really that besides the fact that they're so scared, or I should say the reason that they are so scared usually revolves around two things. One, their self-esteem issue, but also the fact that this is new to them, right? We fear something that's completely new. So I always tell guys, if you're that scared to talk to girls, you need to practice, right? And I preach that on the podcast. You need to go out, you need to practice, you need to go out and talk to more and more and more girls to desensitize you to that fear, okay? Now, a guy who's going up to girls and still has an issue, it usually comes down to self-esteem and abundance, right? Like I'm saying, these two big pillars here. And the problem is that you have probably a self-esteem issue. Self-esteem issue, I know it's a popular term that gets thrown around a lot, but I'll try to be specific here. Self-esteem issue is when you don't feel that you're worthy of happiness, okay? Now, I've talked about this in the podcast. I've said this before. If you're listening to this episode, well, you are kind of halfway there, right? You believe you're worthy of happiness because you're trying to get help in this area, so you must want something for yourself. So you do like yourself to a degree. But really, I want to keep helping you build your self-esteem to such a high level where you are you feel you're so worthy of talking to any girl, whether they are a 10 or a 9 or whatever you want to call it. They're so pretty that you're like, oh, I am of value. I am absolutely worthy of that girl. So it's going to be so easy to talk to her. Because let me ask you this question. You're going to relate to this. If I told you to go up to a girl that was really not that attractive, someone that you didn't find attractive, okay, would it be hard? It would be maybe a little bit hard, but for a lot of you, it wouldn't be too bad, right? Just go up to that girl, start talking to her. You'd be like, okay, this is like kind of hard because she's a stranger and this is weird, but it wouldn't be too bad. It won't be too bad compared to maybe going up to a girl who's like a 9 or 10, your perfect 10. And the reason is because you don't see value in a girl who is, of that attractiveness level, but you see a lot of value in someone who's like a really hot girl who's like you're 9 or you're 10. So what happens is you start to feel like, whoa, she's really pretty. She's got a lot of value. I don't want to screw this up. But also, that's where abundance comes in, and I'll come to that in a second. But not only are you scared of screwing it up, but you're kind of like, you get this like feeling, it's like subconscious even. You might be thinking it consciously, but a lot of it's subconscious that like, whoa, she's better than me. Like, I don't deserve her. That's why you're so nervous to talk to her, because you're like, whoa, my value level is way lower than hers. She's never going to want to talk to a guy like me. I'm not worthy of that. Girl like her goes for guys who are way better than me, and I'm not good enough. So you see how that happens? And I bet you I'm reading your mind right now, or at least some of you listening to this podcast episode, right? Is that you feel unworthy. This is a self-esteem issue, and this is something you can build upon. Shameless plug here. If you want to really get far and deep into building your self-esteem, I really highly recommend you check out the Fearless Formula program, which is not available to anyone unless you end up getting hooked. But you know what? If you email me, trip@tripadvice.com, I will get you access to that. Of course, there is a price. It is a program. It's a whole like 11-hour program, and it is well worth it. But email me if you want access to it. But for now, let me just tell you that building your self-esteem is really all about making sure that you are focused on the fact that you deserve happiness and that you believe you are worthy of happiness. And if you want to go and dig even deep, you can get the book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, which talks about all these different pillars of what self-esteem is made up of. And I believe, and I don't want to get too far into it today, but I'll tell you that one of the things, or I should say one of the pillars more specifically of self-esteem is self-assertiveness, the practice of self-assertiveness. And that is being able to assert yourself into situations, like we're saying here, going up and talking to more girls. Because if you're not assertive, you're not going to be able to build your self-esteem. I know it's like a catch-22. You're like, well, Trip, I need the self-esteem first before I go and talk to her, or else it's not going to work. Well, unfortunately, that's just not how it works here. You need to be able to put yourself into practice mode and go out there and do this. Okay? Go up and practice talking to girls. That is my philosophy. That is what I preach here on the podcast, my programs, my YouTube channel, my newsletters, and everything else. Okay? That's just one of the pillars. There's also the practice of living consciously, practice of self-acceptance, practice of self-responsibility, practice of, like I said, self-assertiveness, practice of living purposefully, and the practice of personal integrity. All those lined up together help you build your self-esteem. But one of the best ways I've found is by actually putting yourself out there. Now, you might be thinking, Trip, that's not going to work. I'm going to assert myself. I'm going to get rejected over and over and over. And then, boom, I am just a piece of shit, so to speak. But that's not what this is about, okay? We need to be assertive, but also make sure that you are going up and talking to girls and not judging yourself for it, okay? I'll just say this real quickly. She's not judging you. She's judging your skill level, okay? That means that she's judging how well you're able to go up and flirt and talk to her. She doesn't know you, so her just brushing you off is going to be no big deal because she's just brushing off your skill level. A guy who is just as good looking as you can go up with really good, strong, charismatic skills and be able to talk to her and get her number. But that doesn't mean he's better than you, it's just he worked on that skill. How do you work on this skill? Self-assertiveness, putting yourself in action, doing this stuff, and putting yourself forward, which I always tell you on the podcast, taking action, taking action, taking action. That's what we need you to do here. Again, this is the practice of self-assertiveness. Now, I want to kind of segue this into the next thing I was talking about, the other pillar, not of self-esteem, but the other pillar we're talking about on this podcast episode, which is abundance, okay? So we combine building your self-esteem with the idea of abundance. Now, abundance is the mindset that I want every guy to achieve, which means that you are an abundant mindset. That means that there's an abundant amount of women for you to talk to. See, right now you're in scarcity mindset. You see a girl over there, she's super pretty, you want to talk to her, and then you go up and you do it, but you get so scared. You're scared in that moment because you don't want to screw it up because this is your chance. This is the only chance that you have. But it's not. You have a lot of chances. You have 3 billion chances. Okay, specifically, that's the amount of women that are living right now in this world. It might be 3.5. Okay, are you going to approach 3.5 billion women all over the world? No, you'll never be able to. But there are millions of women that you have access to probably in your city alone, if not hundreds of thousands. That is a lot of women. Okay, there's an abundant amount, meaning there are an abundant amount of women that you could talk to, that you could practice this skill on, that you can assert yourself, and that you can that you have the possibility of being able to attract and get a date or take it further. It's possible for you. So don't think of every single approach as like, this is the one. Can't screw this up. Oh, there's a girl in my class. Oh, there's a girl at my work. She's the one. She's the only one. This is the only one I can have. No, 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 no. There are so many options. It's possible for you. So you need to assert yourself and talk to more girls so you can practice abundance and also practice self-assertiveness, which will lead to higher self-esteem. I know I didn't give you too much practical steps here, in terms of building self-esteem and abundance, but there's just a lot more to cover, and that's bigger than just one podcast episode. But you can start looking into it in your own. I talk about these topics a lot on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, and of course in my programs. But just this is like kind of like beginners here. It's like we're talking specifically about the act of building self-esteem together with the practice of abundance mentality. Combine those together and you will be unstoppable. I'm not kidding. Anyone who's having problems in this area of going up to girls, talking to them, getting them attracted, and getting freaked out about it has one or two of these issues. And if you have both, then, well, you're in a place where you need to do the work here, right? You need to put the work in. So there you have it. That's today's episode. I wanted to dig in there, and hopefully you get one of the programs that I have to offer so I can see you and meet you in Tripp's Corner. Yes, I'm in there talking to you. You have a question, a good chance I'm going to be in there helping you answer it. So you have complete possible access to me and to a lot of other guys. Specifically, there is, let's see, I'm looking at my computer now, there is 745 members at the time of recording this podcast, and we get about a new member, well, actually not one new member, we get about like 3 to 4 new members every single day. I see guys coming in here all the time, and guys are loving it. So I want to see you in Tripp's Corner. For those of you who are listening who are already in Tripp's Corner, bravo to you, and thanks for being part of it. And a big just thank you for being here and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. And I'm not the only guy in there helping other people. I have another coach in there helping people. But you that's part of Tripp's Corner, I see you in there talking to guys and helping them out, giving your opinions and thoughts, and it's really just awesome. Really beautiful community we have here over at Tripp's Corner, and so I'd love to see you in there. So check out getherhooked.com to get access to my main program if you want to learn more about this whole attracting women thing, which I'm sure you do. So check that out, and thanks for listening to another episode of How to Talk to Girls.